You got to get deep, you got to get low. And I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, there is nowhere. First of all, I don't even know if I'd want to survive a nuclear fallout. But
Nah.
like, if you do, like, you have to go like underground for like 72 hours because like the radiation.
Huh.
I'm just letting you know so you can survive. Like, stay where you're at, like, stay in the basement. But like, you can't come out for like a super long time because even if the blast doesn't kill you, I don't know what radiation does to you. Like, does it like tear your body?
Yeah, it I guess interferes with all your body's functions and your cells and stuff.
Yeah, it's terrifying actually. And I
Yeah.
know, like, my dad was talking about, my dad's like 80, and he was talking about how, like, even when, they were kids, like, they were like scared of like like, people have been scared of it happening for like
Hmm.
ever, like, ever since probably like the creation. We did
Mm.
one about the atomic bomb, didn't we? We did Oppenheimer.
All right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we did. But like, ever since it's been like, I don't know, it's just like scary to think that like someone could actually like do it. But Ryan says that we would have missiles that could like explode it in the air. Like,
Oh, yeah.
if someone like came to like drop one, like it could potentially be like
Yeah, that's always a
a
discussion.
mystery.
Well, it's yeah, a strategy to try to develop countermeasures that can intercept so in ICBM, yeah, the Iron Dome strategies that yeah are discussed and not necessarily guaranteed to be totally effective, but
It
I don't
it
know,
makes
yeah.
me wonder though, like, do you think most billionaires like Elon Musk, like the people who have like all the money in the world, do you think most of them have like some type of underground bunker when they build these like billion-dollar homes? Because I think I would if
I
I built,
mean,
if I had all the money, you know what I mean? Like, they must have one, right?
well, it's a fairly, I think, common,
Wha-
I don't know,
Common.
knowledge that it's fairly, I don't know. I hear a lot of chatter about like, yeah, a lot of big billionaires having underground bunkers and stuff, and that being sort of a hobby horse of theirs, trying to get together, get
Like their
you
end
know,
of times like plan.
yeah, that contingency plan set up, and some many of them, I think, perhaps even going in on
Like a
constructing,
compound, like an underground compound for their like rich people.
yeah, or just to have like a whole underground civilization, enough room for there to be a functioning society within, I don't know, some sort of underground
Huh.
setup. But I don't know how extensive
Oh.
any of that is. It's probably very secretive.
And honestly, like, I feel if that happened, like if the world was like at that point, I probably wouldn't want to live anyway. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
sure. I mean,
you'd come out and like there'd be nothing,
yeah,
right?
you would, it'd be good to have some, facet of humanity remain and be able to, start things over eventually, but it's not like it'd be a very pleasant
Right.
existence. But there will probably be hangers on, a small, group that persists and adapts. So you never know.
The cockroaches, the cockroach people.
Exactly. You have those populations that can survive the hardship and yeah.
That's not the segue, but like, did you see Marty Supreme as well? Or just Uncut Gems?
Yeah, I've seen Marty Supreme. Definitely
These people are like like these are the people that would survive like the nuclear fallout. They have like this never-ending like
mhm,
will to like survive and thrive and find a loophole. I'm
mhm,
excited to talk about it. Like, but I
mhm.
saw Marty Supreme 2 or 3 days ago, and I went, you know what? That wasn't as stressful as I remember Uncut Gems. Maybe Uncut Gems wasn't as anxiety inducing. And then I
Okay.
watched Uncut Gems again today, and it really is like the next level of chaos. Like I feel like
Mm.
Marty Supreme was a little more toned down. But you start the
Okay.
chat. But yeah, they might survive the nuclear fallout.
Oh,
These
yeah, it's it's all it's long since started. Always be recording. No,
yes.
yeah, we you know, it's fun to riff on things like these apocalyptic scenarios sometimes. Yeah, I certainly, I'm not in any fear of of anything like that because like it's just not something I will put up with if that were ever to happen. So I don't.
And I think if
Yeah,
you let it infiltrate, like if you truly,
yeah.
truly let yourself start to spiral in it, what's good to come of that? Like, because after I
Hmm.
was like watching those TikToks, I started like thinking about it, like, what would I do? How to survive?
Hmm.
I was like, honestly, think of all the like energy and time and like emotion you could pour into it. And like the chances are, A, it's not going to happen, or B, it's going to happen and like you're dead.
Yeah, no,
Like, you
gotta.
probably shouldn't waste your like living days dwelling on the nuclear bomb that's about to fall on you.
No, I mean, if you're spending mental energy on it, you're only uh, hurting yourself. But yeah, the obviously we're I thankfully uh, now I'm concerned. Do you spend a lot of time thinking about this sort? But clearly, even if you do,
I,
it's not.
I don't think I did spend a lot of time thinking about it, but I do
Mhm.
think sort of, do you have like a Snapchat or not a Snapchat? I don't have Snapchat. Like a TikTok where the algorithm sort of like feeds into something if you watch something for a few extra seconds.
Yeah, I've never
Like it's
downloaded
more and more.
TikTok. No.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think my brain would go there naturally, but I think because I spent too much time on my phone the other day, like the internet took me there and I just let it take me there. And
Hmm.
that like fuels up a whole nother
Hmm.
conversation because I'm so happy I didn't have it when I was younger, like because I really think I would have been a lot more impressionable. And
Hmm.
how it's like, I don't want my kids to, it's so bad. Like, I don't want them to live in the dark ages, but I do not want them to have cell phones either, or like very
Hmm.
limited. I
Hmm.
don't know. It's too much. It's too much stress, especially after watching this movie. Let's get into it because I have thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, and this wasn't intended to be a Marty Supreme episode. Like, I'm not.
Mm-mm.
We can't go into too much detail, really, because I just there's a lot of things I don't recall super clearly, and it's just well, I don't know. It's such an involved movie. There's plenty of people who've done much better coverage of this, but yeah, interesting and I don't know, appropriate. That a movie like Uncut Gems, I feel, is kind of a much tighter, more kind of robust. I don't know, just like almost diamond cut experience compared to this, which maybe feels this definitely feels more meandering, just more unfocused and not quite as intense, stressful, constantly pulse pounding as the Uncut Gems experience. I thought that was much more like a tightly scripted experience. This feels, yeah, and maybe a little bloated too because it's a pretty long movie. So I don't know. Sitting in theaters was enjoyable, but like it definitely, oh yeah, 2 hours 29 minutes. I felt the fatigue set in a little bit when I was watching this. So yeah, I was ready for it to be done, to get wrapped up. But yeah, well, yeah, here on the Thodcast, we're discussing some things today, just on this little reconnect here. Good to just hang, and we haven't been active in a little while, in like a couple months, but that's okay. I'm just kind of down to hang out and chat, and this is a fun topic. We did an episode, let's see, yeah, a little over a year ago about Uncut Gems, one of my probably favorite movies of the last 10 years or so.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, just it's really intense, really. I don't know, a
Why
lot
did
of.
you why did you end up going to it? Because I had
Mhm,
never seen like a Safdie brothers movie before. And honestly,
mhm.
I really was just curious to see Adam Sandler in a different type of movie. I wasn't the biggest fan of his comedies in like the early 2000s, but like obviously he's a very huge like actor. You hear about him like to this day. And I was so curious like what this would be about. And then when I went to it, like I never realized how like raw and talented he was.
Mm.
Obviously, I knew he had like the comedic thing going on, but like I went into Uncut Gems completely blind back in
Okay.
2019. But did you know anything about like the Safdie directors, or you just wanted to see it because you thought
Not
it looked
really.
intriguing?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Adam Sandler in an unusual context and being kind of an art film, and yeah, I was going to see a lot of indie movies at the time, AMC A list and such, and Idina Menzel's in it, kind of
Right.
a yeah, affection had a bit of affection for like the Elsa characters and that sort of a vibe of the vulnerable type of characters that are on display. In movies like this, you really get to see people's layers being peeled back. Um, and
Have you ever
yeah,
seen her in Rent, like from so long ago?
I saw the Chris Columbus movie, from a while back.
I'm
So,
not a huge Rent fan, but I know that's
hmm
one of her like early days standout, you know,
hmm
moments. She's not really, I wish she was in Uncut Gems more than she actually is, but
hmm
I'm obsessed with her as the wife. Like her
hmm
husband is constantly like driving me crazy, but I love that she's just like this
hmm
strong woman and honestly like she knows like what a shit he is. But she kind of like
hmm
goes with it anyway, just like for the sake of like the family. But like, I don't know. I love her. I loved her in this movie. And I think she and Adam are like actually Jewish, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
look very
both
Jewish.
are, and yeah, the family and the movie itself. Yeah, these the the men in the film in their family are certainly not uncut, as it were.
Right.
uh,
Literally.
really. Um, the yeah, Marty Supreme kind of take picks up the reins. I guess the whole Safdie brothers dynamic is um, fairly you know it's been utilized a few times and across multiple films. There was like that Good Time with Robert Pattinson, kind of a predecessor to Uncut Gems. But and this year they kind of split up and each did their own separate film. So this is Josh Safdie who did Marty Supreme. And then there was also the Smashing Machine, art, more of a artistic endeavor from, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, which kind of, an interesting turn for him. So that's Ben Safdie, the
Yeah.
Smashing
So
Machine.
they worked on this project together. There were some things, I mean, for Uncut Gems, the intro right away, like, is just so different, so odd. You know, they start by
Mm-hmm.
focusing in on this opal, and then slowly it becomes like a colon screening. You know,
Oh,
that's
oh, right,
kind of
yeah.
like how it starts out, and it's just an odd. It's just a different type of intro. And then on Marty Supreme, it was something similar where it's like a bunch of semen, and then it becomes instead of like an
Yeah.
egg, it becomes a ping
Huh.
pong ball. So I noticed like a couple similarities there with that, but it really does right away. Like it's
Right.
just kind of relentless with like the energy and the visuals.
hmm
Um, because I remember thinking when I was watching Uncut Gems the first time, I was like, that is just like the oddest thing I've ever seen. And it gets you into it literally gets you into the character like immediately, literally inside.
Have you ever seen Look Who's Talking? Those
No.
movies? Okay. This is some niche, like early 90s movies with we're kind of they do voiceover over a literal baby character, an infant character. This I guess the
Oh,
whole yeah, shtick.
This sounds familiar. I haven't watched it, but
Yeah.
what's the connection there?
Well, yeah, Bruce Willis voices a baby, but and you get kind of like an inner monologue. It doesn't really make any sense. It's not like a baby has a coherent inner monologue, but what if it did? It does start out with that same type of scene of the act of yeah, I guess yeah, the um internal view
Of like
of
fertilization, like a similar thing
fertilization.
like that.
Exactly. It's a bunch of
Oh,
sperm, swimming towards the egg, the ovum, and yeah, I guess interesting. Uncut Gems kind of does a similar thing with the colonoscopy, but then now Marty Supreme, doing the. No, I mean it's a visual. I'm sure that's been done plenty of times in a variety of places. Plenty of educational films out there. But I think that it's interesting in like that. Look Who's Talking, that first film, which was really successful. I think it was fairly major film when it was released. Who was the female star? I'm trying to. Oh, um, but the it couldn't use CGI, of course, so it was all like a practical. Kirstie
mhm.
Alley is the female
Oh,
lead.
yeah, she was a big one, big star.
Is it Kirstie or Christy?
I think
K-I-R
Christy.
S-T-I. It's Kirstie. Yeah, Kirstie.
Oh,
All right. Yeah, and so Marty Supreme kind of, yeah, it goes off in some different directions with the pregnancy plot line, and this guy's just total non-committal attitude to anything other than basically his aspiration for greatness, specifically within ping pong, which he
ping
wants, yeah,
pong.
to be
Yeah,
the next big thing.
a diamond seller and a ping pong guy. It's just like two plots that you wouldn't
Yeah.
think of as like these like main stage type movies. But as I'm watching them, I think, and maybe a lot of people feel this way, it's like I just can't imagine the energy it takes to be a human like that. Like, of course, we all have dreams and
Mm.
goals, or we try to, suspend our disbelief if we're trying to, gamble and like you're
Mhm.
confident you're going to win. But there are people out there like the Adam Sandler character, and it's just hard to think of like how they survive. And it just makes me really like upset because throughout the movie, there's so many times where he has like the opportunity to like take a breath and sort of turn it around. And same with
Mhm.
Marty Supreme, just take a minute and figure it out. But these
Mhm.
people are just so relentless. Like
Uh,
there's no moment of reset. It's just
yeah.
manic momentum that they're running on. And I don't know if it's because I'm such a tired person. I'm like, when they don't sleep and they're going to play ping pong and they're going to go to the gambling range and they're going to go do this and they're going to do that all this while like they're having babies. It's just, I can't imagine being a person with that personality. I don't think I've ever really met someone like that, but there are people out there like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a scary situation
Oh,
of,
it's super scary. They dodge their consequences.
yeah,
They're always making side deals. They're always sort of putting someone at a disadvantage with kind of this good intention that they're going to
yeah.
come back around with, something to give them, like I'm going to make $1 million. Like, just let me take your 20,000 or whatever. So it's hard because you think of these people having good hearts, but they're really very selfish. They're
No, yeah.
really quite horrible.
Unwrapping this sort of pathologies is just a fun fodder, yeah, for an entire episode, certainly, because it is something that is so fascinating, and I think it is sort of, just this crazy, unsustainable kind of metabolic condition in
Delusion,
terms
like
of,
a delusion, living in a
yeah, but like the amount of energy expenditure too, that these people are just churning through constant, um, a constant state of like always being on and like endorphins. And I think it is a thing where like you have to be yeah, like you're conditioned to it, I guess. You're physically, as well as psychologically, to where you don't rely on proper rest, on proper perspective. It's all this crazy inner drive, and then eventually you'll burn out. Like literally at the end of Uncut Gems, I feel like it's so appropriate. The ending of that. I mean, that's what sells that movie for me, just far beyond even like Marty Supreme, which is fun. It's great, but like just the way it wraps up just so perfectly in Uncut Gems, where yeah, this is kind of the natural conclusion where this guy's going.
Yes. And I think it happens. I mean, I feel like I can say spoiler alert, but it did come out in 2019. Like it
Hmm.
all comes to a head at the end where he's about to, again, for the 18th time, turn it around because there's so many moments throughout where he has a chance to turn it around. And he makes it big. He could pay off his debts and he gets shot in the head. But then he
Yeah.
finally gets a break. He finally, like, it finally slows down for a second. And the way
Hmm.
the shooting happens, there's really no pomp. It's not like, get down, get down. It's just boop, right in the forehead. Boom. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, no, I mean, we see examples of this, like, and the people make documentaries about people like Elizabeth Holmes, the Fire Festival dude,
Yeah.
I think Brandon McFarlane, I think is his name, like, Anna Delvey's, a lot of these people who really just kind of hustled their way into these crazy situations.
And it seems like they don't even want maybe the wealth or the like security of these positions they're going for. It's like something else that's driving them
Mhm.
and sabotaging them at the same time, especially um who was that one who did the drop of blood where she was going to do this
Yeah,
medical.
Holmes, Elizabeth
Yeah.
Holmes.
Yeah. Like she financially had so many great backers. She could have, figured out a plan. It's like they don't want that. They want to just live on this edge,
Mm.
this like cutting edge that's not stable. And I just don't get it, because there's moments in this movie with Adam Sandler, Howard Ratner, I think, was that his name? Howard. Um,
Sure. Oh,
where
okay.
he just
Yeah,
had
yeah.
he had like so much money in his pocket, he could have made it all right, but that's not what they want. They don't want money. So it's curious to watch because like as a normal person, a fairly
Mm.
normal person, you're like, what is the motivation here? And of course, half the time for him and Marty, they're trying to like clean up a prior mess. So I guess there's a
Hmm.
lot of that too.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yeah, I
Um,
I like them both a lot because even though they're uncomfortable for me, it's something about these people who cannot like stop themselves. They have this constant like forward motion in life that's really
mm.
like addicting because I'm like, where are they going to end up?
Yeah.
But in real life, I could not be friends with someone like this. I couldn't associate. And then I think they're both set in New York,
Yeah, you're
both
right.
movies. So they have that energy too, right?
Yeah, technically both period films because Uncut Gems came out in 2019, was set in 2010, I believe. And then yeah, Marty Supreme was set in
50s,
the 50s, was
I think.
19, was it the beginning of the 50s or towards the end of the 50s? 52, 1952. Interesting. That is so early on. Like it didn't seem like something like this would have found much resonance in a as early on as like 1952. This attempt at like turning ping pong into a global or national phenomenon. But
Yeah, it
yeah,
didn't feel 50s to me in the beginning. I mean, obviously the clothing and stuff, but the music felt very like 80s. Like there was for a second when I was watching Marty Supreme, it was hard for me to know because a lot of the music sounded like 80s music to me.
oh yeah, that's
And
true.
there was a lot of like synth going on and, you know, like the
Yeah.
tactile hardware type music
Mhm.
orchestration. But yeah, I
Mm.
was curious about that too. I actually looked up a little bit about Marty Supreme after just because after you watch one of these, I guess a biopic, Marty Supreme would
Mm.
be
Well,
considered maybe,
it's fictional. I
but
don't know if
based a little bit on Marty
it's
whoever.
It, I
But
guess I
yeah,
don't know anything.
a lot of it was fictionalized because I was like, wait a minute, how
Okay,
does this
Marty
turn out?
Weissman. Okay, interesting.
He
Yeah.
was a real, I mean, he was a real ping pong player and he was a real kind of like schemer and scammer, but it
Huh.
wasn't the way the movie portrayed it. It was very like
Hmm.
loosely based on. And I don't think Uncut Gems was based on anyone. That was totally fiction, I would assume.
Yeah, yeah. They have Alphaville, Forever Young. That was a song that was used in the soundtrack here. Yeah, it's kind of a interesting aesthetic combination of, yeah, it did feel like an 80s setting kind of at first, but yeah, I mean there is a title card that gives the year, and you would think like with television and stuff that something like this might raise in popularity. Yeah, there weren't any scenes of, you or there wasn't a ton of like exploration of what the media landscape was like back then in this film. Was there? I
Not, I mean,
would have radio, of course. And yeah.
it seemed like radio and yeah, like a lot of cameras flashing, as they're like doing their
Hmm.
thing, but you don't see like live television
Hmm.
being the way that they're getting it across. One thing I will note is from Marty Supreme was the guy who played the rich man of Rockwell Pens. Did you recognize him from Shark Tank?
I
Did you ever watch
haven't.
Shark
No,
Tank?
I've never really watched Shark
It
Tank.
it was just kind of funny because the premise of that show is investing in like being a shark. I don't know, being a shark, investing in these smaller businesses and eating up the bad ones. And it was kind of funny because that man Kevin who plays the Rockwell Inc. guy, that's who he is in real life. And I'm
Okay.
always curious how they go about casting these things. I mean, obviously for both Uncut Gems and Marty Supreme, they got really, really big names. And you said Robert Pattinson was for something that they did earlier.
Yeah, yeah, good time. Also
So
set
people must
in
really like
New
working for
York.
the Safdie brothers.
Yeah.
Although you would assume filming these things would be a little bit chaotic.
Mhm. No, I don't know what the energy is necessarily on set. And like the Smashing Machine wasn't this pulse pounding experience. That
Oh,
was very strictly biographical, and I enjoyed it. It was kind of a just an intimate picture of a person struggling with addiction. I thought that was interesting. So, but also the reason he had developed this pill, opioid or some you know just originally as a coping mechanism for the kinds of injuries he would sustain as this UFC fight. It was like the dawn of ultimate fighting, mixed martial arts, and I mean that's some of the most intense athletics you can do. So there's some pretty intense fighting sequences, but it was kind of more of a personal inner struggle. Examining an introspective examination of this character. Who really, it wasn't. I don't know. Like all these characters are kind of um, they're formed, they're molded by their circumstances, and they're thrust into these high pressure situations that are just constantly reshaping them, reforming them. And you just kind of are along for the ride and interested to see how they respond because they're often very um, erratic in the way they do.
right. And you do feel like exactly what you said. You feel like you're along for the ride because you truly feel like when you're watching these movies
Mhm.
that they're and they are, but like making these decisions by the seat of their pants. So you
Mhm.
really don't know, especially the first time you watch Uncut Gems, I had no idea what direction it was going and it held me so tight because it was constantly shocking because it's not the decisions that I would
Mhm.
make. But
Mhm.
I remember when we talked about it before, like it was made on a really modest budget too. I just pulled it up. It was
Mhm.
19 million.
Mhm.
was their budget. And I think it was a lot more for Marty Supreme. I think they did a lot more marketing.
Yeah.
Um, with the is it A24 is the
Was this an
um
A24?
person that
I think you're
the
right.
I think
Um, but
they're
yeah,
the ones that usually do these sort of different style.
Marty Supreme's definitely A24 and Smashing Machine also, I believe. Which Smashing Machine definitely was not a commercially successful film, shall we say? It's probably gotten a decent traction on streaming and rentals and stuff. I'm seeing it's like the availability right now is $4.99 from Prime, which is odd because the standard rental price is like $4. You usually see this happen around award season. The
Mhm.
Smashing Machine, it's $4.90. But I don't know. Is Smashing Machine getting a ton of awards buzz? I'm sure it's getting some. So you'll see these movies that are making the rounds at the awards circuit having their rental prices raised, and it's sort of tough to like they'll pull them from the main streaming services, so you have to pay a little bit of a premium to catch up on a lot of these things right around this time of year. It's a little frustrating. Sometimes you'll get lucky, and a major studio will be nice and put it on one of their big streamers, or there'll be like a direct to Netflix film, a Netflix production that's
For
up
us
for a lot of
peasants.
awards. Yeah.
For us peasants. Well, yeah, I mean, specifically, I think, like, just speaking of awards, I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure Timothy Chalamet won a Golden Globe um,
Yeah.
for Best Actor with his, and I'm not sure if there were any awards with Uncut Gems. I didn't look that up when I was like seeing it before, but I just
Uh,
it's on Hulu now for anyone who has their Hulu account. Well,
Yeah.
actually, I think it's HBO Max through Hulu. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, Critics' Choice Awards, it did pretty well. Yeah, Marty Supreme looks like it won Best Picture.
It looks like Uncut Gems did get a bunch of nominations.
yeah,
Um,
Golden Globes. I'm trying to.
and
I'm
then
look-
some smaller like regional awards, like it's listed there for Adam Sandler, which I think now that I've seen it 3 times, he should have deserved a great award. He really is an amazing actor, and it had to be really cool for him. I guess I don't know. Is there anything else you've seen with Adam Sandler where he's not kind of playing like the goofy cousin, silly guy aside from Uncut Gems? Is this his first time
Um,
playing someone so raw? I'm using
uh,
the word raw, but I don't really know, like gritty, I guess.
a serious performance. There have been a
Very serious.
few,
Yeah.
yeah, but not a ton. Not a ton. Um, I don't know. It was like the Meyerowitz stories is something I believe he was in. And that was Noah Baumbach. Meyerowitz stories. Oh wait, no, that wasn't. Oh, that was Sandler. Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller play brothers. Dustin Hoffman's their dad. I think. No, yeah, Noah Baumbach's
And
that's
that
on
was more of
Netflix.
like a serious tone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's technically like a comedy slash drama, but definitely a serious role for he like they're playing it pretty straight in the film. But yeah, Sandler known for a lot of wacky comedy and a lot of stuff that I just haven't seen. Honestly, it's
Were
not
you
my
ever
type
into
of.
that type of humor?
No,
Like,
never.
me neither. Even growing up, when those were the things that were, we grew up in like a small town where there was one theater. So we'd get like one old movie, a week. But like, even like 50 First Dates, I liked the movie, but I've just never been like an Adam Sandler person, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
maybe in a
No.
different life, he started out with these charismatic, compulsive characters, and I would have liked him a little better. But no, I really do enjoy him in this, his self
Yeah.
destructiveness.
Yeah. No. That's you know, he's definitely a talented dude, that's for sure. I don't know. Yeah, the hustle and grind uh, personality, certainly been embodied by someone like Adam Sandler to get where he is.
And I
Yeah.
think it probably helps. I mean, the character Howard, he's always sort of like fidgeting, pacing. anxious, odd. I feel like when you see pictures of Adam Sandler in like tabloids and he's wearing like a pair of gym shorts and like a polo shirt, he's always like, do you know what I'm talking about? He's not like this like suave, cool Hollywood man, Adam Sandler. He's kind of just like an odd duck, but I feel like it works really well with like the
Mm-hmm.
body expressions of the character Howard too. Like it
Mm-hmm.
feels just very organic. Um, just this weird guy, and then he has this hot girlfriend that can you imagine if Indita Menzel's your wife and you're like cheating on her? Stupid. God, he makes
Uh,
me mad.
well, yeah, it's someone who's quite divorced from reality. It's funny, yeah, Howard Ratner is the name of that character, and then
Mhm.
here it's Marty Mauser. That is not a
Rat and
coincidence.
mouse.
Yeah, that is no way
I love it.
that's coincidental. So what was I wonder um Robert Pattinson's character's name in that film? Because yeah,
We got to
Nick.
think of a different rodent.
No, let's
But you said
see.
his character's not so much like that. Like he's not so much.
Yeah, Nick Nika's, and Robert Pattinson's character in Good Times name is Connie, Nikas. So Nikas or Nikas or something. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I not following the same pattern necessarily with the rodents uh or being named after rodents. But yeah, these Weasley characters.
Weasley characters, that's what it is. And I liked the other thing that they brought into it is like Kevin Garnett, like they had a real basketball player playing the basketball player. Do you know what I mean? That they hired in a true like
Right.
professional athlete.
Hmm.
Because they could have been, I mean, I don't know how well. The only athlete I've ever seen in a movie would be what was it when we were young with like Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan. What was that
Okay.
called? Remember?
Well, Space Jam.
Space Jam. Yeah. And I mean, so it had to be kind of cool for him to be working on this project with them as well. And I don't know how accurate that is that they like go to these like weird New York like hidden jewelers to get their gems and like their bling. But I feel kind of
Hmm.
bad for him because he really does believe that this stone is sort of what's bringing him luck.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, well, I mean, for someone with the psychology of, yeah, Kevin Garnett even, and yeah, I mean, just these, I guess, high octane individuals, you never know what's going to affect them, mentally, and everything is just such on, I think, a razor's edge for people who are having to, I mean, when it comes to that level of um, execution, whatever it is you are doing, everything has to be so pinpoint accurate, nailing a shot, a field goal from way outside. And in basketball, you're just having to hit this, target that's just unreasonably small for someone to expect to be able to accomplish in any way with any kind of consistency. And yet, these professional athletes, they have to fight through hordes of opponents to even get a shot at making a basket, and yet they do it all the time. And very rarely will they miss if they're just given a free basket. I mean, they do occasionally. It's just kind of a matter of probability at that point. But like, it is just there's something more innate than simple, tossing up the ball and hoping it goes in, like rolling a die. You develop a sixth sense, a
Still,
gut
yeah.
instinct, yeah, for these kinds of yeah. I don't know that I'm wording it very strangely, but
I
obviously,
understand what you're saying.
yeah.
Like they're both like very high stakes
Hmm.
and very like focused on this goal, but there's more. I guess like skill involved, I guess is like the word with like
Yeah.
shooting the hoop versus like rolling a dice. Cause like genuinely, like both times you probably have to have a little bit of luck, but rolling the dice, you have like no idea. And they sort of, they mirror each other a little bit too when it comes to this opal, like thinking, that it's going to bring good luck or it's going to like give them what they need. And it's so common with sports. I mean, you hear it all the time where like people don't cut their hair because they think the team might lose if they cut their hair mid-season, or they don't wash their jersey because if they wash their jersey, they're not going to be able to like get a touchdown or whatever. And with sports, it's almost like socially acceptable to be weird. I don't know, or I don't
Yeah.
know if it would be like compulsive like that. It's
No,
acceptable, but like
I'm just trying to
with
analyze why that is too, because I mean it seems strange on
with
the
that
surface.
superstition, but then there's other people who have superstitions that you almost right away, you want to roll your eyes at, or you want to say
Mhm.
like, oh, come on, like it's a black cat crossing the street, but with
Yeah.
sports, I mean, people really do sort of just like take it as truth a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a super sporty person, but I do hear a lot about hockey players or football players that follow those
Yeah.
things.
But it kind of makes sense when you think about it because of how just extreme their abilities have become to where it is almost supernatural, the things they can do with their bodies, with their um senses, their, I guess, yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like their ability um to have a grasp on their surroundings, just their every aspect of their environment. They're kind of like having to constantly be under the highest amount of pressure to perform.
Well, you're into
Yeah,
racing. Is there something psychological, like superstitions that you hear about with them, with racers? Does it come up
absolutely.
very often? Like, oh, I always have to have my wife sitting in the third seat. Or I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it could be or would be, but I'm guessing it's almost in every arena.
Yeah, a lot of them have certain routines too. The only, it's just following the same procedure out of comfort, basically, having things you can control. Um, but getting into the car, from the same side every time, and I don't know. But yeah, like you can see the way these drivers' mental fortitude is affected by external pressure and their ability to execute on a regular basis is really kind of you see kind of vulnerable in some cases to um, the level of, like, say, championship pressure they're under, or if they have a teammate who is especially competitive, or if they are going for their first championship win versus this has just become kind of a routine. They're more conditioned to winning, like the person who um most recently has been the most dominant in F1 racing, won 4 consecutive world championships. So by the time he got to the fourth, it was like, this is just kind of routine. Whereas the driver who won the most recent one, it was his first time, and just getting it to the line for him was an extreme struggle, much more so than it seemed it should have been. According to how the car was performing throughout the season, they seemed to have a distinct advantage, but there were just too many times he fumbled the ball because he didn't have his wits about him, and so like things like that will definitely lead to developing superstitions and just like weird, mental
Routines
things.
or
Yeah.
things that you feel like can contribute to it. And I mean, with both sports and with Howard Ratner, it's these like high stakes moments that have a deadline. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like the ring needs to be returned by Friday, or you're going to lose $200,000. Or the race, I mean, you only get one race. If you do a poor
Mhm.
job, like that's it. There's not going to be another championship that year. So You probably do try to control all the things you can control because there's so many uncontrollables um,
Yeah.
out
Well,
there.
and there are certain activities that are just such incredible feats of skill just from a visual perspective for me that I really can barely comprehend how these performers are doing it. And ping pong is like one of those, table
Yeah.
tennis where
Yeah.
they seem to be just whacking this ball.
It
They're
seems
annihilating
impossible.
it. Yeah.
I know it just seems impossible. And I actually don't get a lot of thrill watching things like this, even growing up, like Winter Olympics figure skating.
Hmm.
Even as a kid watching them, sometimes I'd be so stressed out. I was like, how are they lifting up their body, twirling it around 4 times and hitting the ground? And with ping pong, I'd sometimes like look away from the screen because I was like, there is no way. I as a viewer can hardly see the ball crossing. How is he going to get the paddle? And
It
I mean,
doesn't, yeah.
it doesn't make sense. And I do wonder whether it's a F1 race or a ping pong or a basketball game. And then these people go home at the end of the race or at the end of the day, and to then like live a normal life after having such extreme
Hmm.
focus or extreme. I think sometimes like right now, it's I think Travis Kelsey who's dating or engaged to Taylor Swift.
Hmm.
And I was like, how do people maintain any sort of normal life when they are enveloped in such extreme moments? Do you know what I mean? Can you imagine
Yeah.
racing in the F1? I don't know if the championship has a special name. And then what? The next day
Yeah.
you fly home and you're eating like ramen noodles with your wife? Like
I,
it's just got to be a mind
I would
shift.
say, yeah, I would have no idea a mind shift exactly, but like also these people do have a huge support system around them, and that's really the only way. That they aren't a one man team in the end. They have a
That's
lot
true.
of yeah, they have a
They
lot of
do.
help.
And they probably, I mean, especially like if you think of someone like Taylor Swift or whatever, they probably have like a therapist on call as well. So if they
Yeah,
do start to like lean one way or the other, whereas like Howard Ratner and Mouser Marty, like
yeah.
when it's a one man risk or like a one man adrenaline like rush, and then they go back to their quiet, empty apartment. Or in Marty's case, he was like
Yeah.
living in his friends. Well, he was living in his mom's apartment, and then his friend's like side room, and
Yeah, so much
you
of their
just go
life
from
is a
such an
shambles.
yeah,
Yeah.
you go from such an extreme to like, all right, I'm gonna pay $2 to like sleep in this bed. But you're right, the real stars, I mean, the people who have established teams, that makes the transition a little easier. But I mean, sometimes I watch like the Marty Supreme or Uncut Gems, and I was like,
Hmm.
man, I can see why people who have this tendency that live like you said, I think at the beginning, like they'll burn out, like their body will literally like,
Hmm.
yeah, shut down. It's wild. It couldn't be for me.
Yeah, I mean, before you get to the point where, yeah, you do have a healthy support system around you, and you're in this crucible constantly, but capable of leading some semblance of a normal life. You've had to make, many sacrifices along the way to get there. I'm sure everyone who has competed at a professional level or performed, at an arena level, has had those periods in their life where they'd come home to just a complete disaster, living situation.
Yeah.
They're sleeping on couches. They're having to scrounge up, the worst possible apartment situation or whatever. Like it just, yeah, the pursuing one's dreams, it is a very, yeah, humbling process in many ways for the
You
most
know,
part.
hearing you say it like that, like going after their dreams, I think that's why Marty Supreme felt a little more like easy and playful because he was like going for a goal,
Mhm.
whereas like it felt like in Uncut Gems he was constantly running away from or trying to fix. They're both
Yep.
very similar, but like at least with Marty, I'm like, okay, his goal is to get to this ping pong tournament and win it. Whereas I felt like with Howard, I
Mhm.
don't know what the goal was, like to not get to
Yeah.
just keep paying off debt, which is just oh god.
Well,
So they
yeah.
that was probably another reason why for me Uncut Gems was more like frustrating because it was hard for me to like get where we were going. At least with Marty, I knew okay, like there's an end game here, there's an end, you know,
Yeah, yeah, he's
game
trying
or
to, yeah, advance, within the jewelry world, I suppose. So yeah, he's at a point now where he's made this big purchase, and yeah, it was this like investment he had made in a mine, and now, yeah, this giant opal he thinks he can fetch, six-figure uh
and is
return.
it worthless? Like what does it turn out to be? I know he ends up like staging sort of like a bidding war and he doesn't really make all that much off of it compared to his expenses, but
Oh,
what
well,
is this?
what
Do
do
they
they
ever
value it?
say like what it is it
I
just a rock?
maybe
Is it
maybe like 20 grand or something is what they
oh
end up
my
appraising it. But like he gets his dad to bid on it at,
I
way
know.
up. Yeah. And yeah, it's just a whole mess. Yeah. So
Can you
crazy.
imagine? There's a story. I mean, I guess it's kind of like digging for gold back when people went to the West and they dig and they dig and they, and you never know if you're going to find it. You invest all that time, all that money. And then, Kevin Garnett, right? The basketball player. He makes a good point
Um,
too. Like, oh, you paid $100,000 for it, but you had all these like Ethiopians digging for years,
mhm,
and
mm.
so you're kind of what I
Yeah,
guess you're kind of exploiting them and now you're being exploited. So like you can't complain. I mean, they didn't really get too deep into it, but they do have a
that's right.
conversation about like you're not owed $1 million for this rock, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just looked it up. Howard was expecting, yeah, maybe seven figures in the
Oh,
millions. But then it was appraised at 150,000 or something. And then, yeah, he gets his dad to bid it up to like 175. So yeah, they were still able yeah, get it into the six-figure range, but millions of dollars, yeah, that's it's a different story right there. No, it's and yeah, just the exploitation was something that of the miners, even that the film explored. And yeah, so like all the externalities, these you know these ripple effects from these crazy scenarios, are they aren't just confined to these intimate groups of families and teams. Yeah, there's a lot more that goes into it. I don't know. Yeah, you get the plot line with the Japanese, having to go to the Japanese um tournament in Marty Supreme, and that being such a precarious situation. Of like being barely able to con his way onto a plane, and yeah, just like he's just right out on the edge. I don't know. Did any of that kind of end game aspect of Marty Supreme really resonate with you, or did the film maybe taper off a little bit, or how did you feel?
I felt like by the end, I was like you were, once you get to that 2.5 hour mark, like I was like, all right, like let's
Mhm.
resolve this. But I
Yeah.
find it, really challenging because that man offered him a plane ride about 20 minutes into the film. He said, hey, if you try to sell my ballpoint pens and you lose to
Mm.
Endo, you can fly in. I'll give you your entrance fee, whatever. Yeah. I thought that it was like a cool ending. I thought it was good, but
Mm.
I don't know. These movies are like a challenge for me. It's like a polarizing feeling that I get at the end. I liked the ending of Uncut Gems better. I felt like
Okay.
that
Yeah.
was more resolute.
Yeah. Because I don't know. It's like Marty Supreme. I had to kind of look up, you kind of the ending explanation as to why does he have this turnaround? Why does he think he can suddenly beat this competitor? Um, his rival who he lost to earlier. Was it Kodo Endo?
Mhm.
This the only one who seemingly can beat Marty Supreme and yet does so dominantly. And I don't know, yeah, he just is able to rally himself suddenly. And I don't know, it's just like, I guess,
And
meant to, yeah, convey something about Marty's resolve. But yeah.
and to put, to the end of it, I didn't really love, and even as a parent, so I guess at the very end, after he wins, he falls to the ground, okay, like he's accomplished his dream.
Hmm.
And then he goes back to Rachel, and I guess this baby that's his, and he sort of has this transformative moment that's supposed to be very like emotional, I guess, because he's seeing this child, and he's kind of, well, he's crying, but having
Hmm.
a moment of like humanity and
Hmm.
joy, I guess. But I didn't feel like it worked very well for me. And even as a parent who's like looked at my own kid, like of course that's like this beautiful feeling, but like I don't know. I just thought that that was an odd ending as well. Did you like it? Did you like that being sort of the final scene? Did it feel like, okay, like this man figured it all out? Like he won and now he has like a family? It didn't feel very true to character. Like,
I just,
no,
I think
I didn't like it.
yeah, I think there's some sort of conflicting opinions on that scene. Yeah, it almost seems like this is sort of the culmination, the climax of the film. Him kind of having this, yeah, moment of connection with the baby, and
Maybe it's supposed to be some moral resolution, like, okay, now that he's won, he can be like a dad and not give up on
yeah,
his dreams, but maybe that's what it's supposed to be. Like the pursuit can be done and he can just
I
raise a
found it
kid.
effective. Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
he
Okay.
need he yeah.
Maybe I just didn't, maybe it's because I like TMI, but like when I saw my kid, I was like, all right, like I didn't feel like that type of feeling. Like I didn't feel like, oh, my life's going to
Mhm.
dramatically change. But maybe it's more so he got the win and now he can like take a breath and be there for Rachel and be there for the kid because like his mom wasn't there for him. I mean, it beats
Yeah.
being shot, but
Well, whether the kid itself was like the thing really compelling Marty into this moment of reflection, or it was just more, I don't know, an opportunity to just take a moment and sort of reflect. I mean, sure, like he's interacting with the child, and I guess, is it even confirmed to be his child? I don't know.
I think you're
I
just
suppose,
supposed to go with it.
yeah.
Yeah, I do think at
He,
one scene he's like, "That's my kid," or I think
mhm.
they put Mauser on the.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I honestly couldn't say. I've only seen it once, and I might. I do think I would watch it again.
He just needs a moment of repose, and yeah, I'm glad that he seemingly was able to appreciate, this child. Whether something that is going to really um, change his life in the long term, hopefully. But he at least seemed like he had not totally lost his humanity in that moment, and that was kind of all that was needed for
Sure.
for that character at that time. Just like that, there was some kind of glimmer of hope in his life. Because ping pong, table tennis, it was never going to take off in the way that he wanted it to.
I
That
know.
was more, yeah, that was destined to be a fire festival if he were to keep going at that rate. But yeah, at least having the kid in the family. There's also, um, I don't know, like an analogy. We're talking about the extreme skill and professional athleticism and people who are just always on that razor's edge. Like, the analogy of threading the needle
Hmm.
in life, and yeah, there's this kind of odd moment from the Bible where Jesus said, like, if you follow me, or it's easier for a rich man.
Camel. Oh,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven's gates or something like that.
yeah, yeah. So like, there's an analogy about going through the eye of a needle in in this biblical parable. And I feel like it's just such an effective way to kind of describe what is often experienced by us in our lives as we experience like these tough moments in life of just really being at a loss and having to just kind of surrender control in because ultimately like it, our perception of the situation
Uh-huh.
is incapable of comprehending what we're experiencing. So we just have to kind of shut down.
It's almost like too precarious. Like you're on that
Mm-hmm,
edge, like you said. You're kind of like, especially for these people, like athletes or
mm-hmm,
whatever. But like that razor thin line between like success and ultimately like failure, like disaster,
mm-hmm,
or when we're under like an extreme pressure like that. It is a really good similar metaphor when it comes to just the stakes of things and finding ways to like emotionally surrender or like, and maybe that's what it is at the end of the movie there when he just kind of
mm-hmm,
like it's just sort of like I no longer have to be on this fast pace, personal stakes, narrow passage. I can kind of like let it go. I don't know. Like, yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah, I
Yeah.
could see that a lot.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of really fun, um, events, just the general, content of the film itself, is very entertaining. So, you kind of earn that resolution at the end, whether it's, you know, a very definitive resolution or not. It's worth the experience. Yeah, it is a little long, but yeah, I recommend the movie overall, and I definitely look forward to seeing it again. But yeah,
I
it's
want
just. Hmm.
them to do more. I'm happy that both of these movies, Uncut Gems and Marty Supreme, and probably other ones they've done, but that it was like so well received.
Hmm.
Um, because I'd be interested in watching a similar thing. And I don't know what category you put these under. Like, would you consider it? There's moments where it's almost like a comedy, but I don't know what genre. But I really
Mm.
do. I do enjoy it, especially when you want to be immersed in a movie, because sometimes it feels like, and whether it's our attention spans or just movies these days, but sometimes I go to a movie and I just am not sucked into it anymore. Like I just don't
Mm.
feel it. But with a
Yeah.
script like this and a storyline like this, it definitely does like keep me paying attention. I'm not curious to check my phone. I don't want to like get up and use the bathroom. Like I do want to see like where it's taking me. So
Mhm.
I do hope we see more like this. I guess a thriller, but not in the sense of like a murder. Like it's thrilling.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Um,
you'd call
I mean, even a sports drama is probably ultimately what it would find as its genre classification. But yeah, also thriller for sure. What is interesting is, well, my thought after walking out of the movies, yeah, feels like a biopic. Like this is a real person's lived experience that they're trying to depict here, but because the events of the movie are so crazy. He's constantly threading the needle. He's constantly in these impossible situations. Even more so, I would say, than Uncut Gems, like where it just feels more random. The types of things. Oh, there's a movie star, and he's trying to. She's like way older, and and yeah, he has an affair. Just kind of out of the blue, and for some reason she's interested. It's like I guess because she's in this kind of desperate state of midlife crisis herself, and her husband also happens to be this business executive in with whom he goes into
it.
business. Yeah,
As a woman, I found that whole like affair relationship very like unbelievable. I really
Yeah.
don't know how a beautiful success, and yes, I know she's kind of having her crisis season,
Yeah.
but I
It was
I
uncomfortable. Yeah.
don't think that I don't know many women that would like, I don't think that'd be the route many would take, but I get it for the
Yeah.
storyline, but yeah,
Yeah, I think
odd.
the movie, yeah, overall like it just wasn't able to reach the same heights as Uncut Gems for me. Yeah, partly due to some of these romantic moments where it just like was just kind of it gave me the ick, you know.
And it felt a little just like unnecessary, you know,
Yeah.
like whereas I did with Adam Sandler with Uncut Gems, his girlfriend, that Julia Fox, and I think
Hmm.
her character's name is Julie in the show as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It felt a lot more in
It's
like
yeah.
interwoven into his life just because his life was so messy, and it felt more organic and it felt more believable for me. Yeah. I almost have forgotten
Mhm.
about the Marty Supreme like affair scenes because
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
really didn't end up taking anyone anywhere with that.
no, yeah, she was more in kind of this desperate position, whereas in Uncut Gems, like they're kind of both on this parallel journey of like trying to achieve greater and greater social status. You know, Julia Fox's character, she's
She's out
using
with the
him.
weekend and
Yeah.
she's, gosh, she's so pretty. Well, both of those women are very pretty, but like,
Hmm.
yeah. And I mean, she works at his like jewelry store. So it's not like they just like glanced at each other and called each other in the hotel,
Hmm.
you know, but yeah, for both, I guess they throw that stuff in to make sure that there's like a sex scene for everyone because everybody
Yeah.
needs one of those at the theater now.
Yeah. I mean,
I
yeah.
personally don't, but it does seem like nowadays you can't watch much without that, you know.
Well, I don't know. In some ways, I think some modern films have kind of gotten away from that a little bit. And I think because in some ways people are more sensitive to that, you know, you had the Me Too movement and stuff. So, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
off topic kind of, but now it's like you hear a lot about there has to be like intimacy coaches on set and,
Yeah.
you know, things put in place, which seems kind of like common sense. But when you think about it before, they really were just like putting actors and actresses in these positions and saying like, all right, this is what we need from you. And it
Mm.
is kind of odd to think there wouldn't be like a coordinator making sure everybody's kind of comfortable. And nowadays, I think that is
Mm.
the standard when they're filming those types of scenes. But yeah, you're right.
Mm.
I think probably prior to the Me Too movement, it was kind of just like a free for all.
Mm. Yeah, but I was gonna say, like walking out after you know the film, like there it felt like, yeah, like I didn't know going in if this was supposed to be a true story, inspired by certain true elements, but they, you know, there's nothing in, you know, this isn't like in Fargo where, you know, this is a, you know, inspired, or this is a true story. The names were changed out of respect for the dead and for the safety of the survivors or whatever. But no, in Marty Supreme, yeah, it's never indicated that this is a true story, but also sometimes, you know, things are so crazy that you feel like it has no other option but to be like a true story because you couldn't write this, you know, because of how wild. And this kind of almost flipped back around to like, okay, it's so crazy that it doesn't seem like you could write it, but also it doesn't seem like this could happen because
Right.
of how
Well,
wild. Yeah.
did you ever see Catch Me If You Can or read the book?
It's like that, but
Yeah.
even more so, I feel. I felt like there are
Yes, more
maybe,
so. And
yeah.
also back then with Catch Me If You Can, where he's like writing blank checks and he's pretending he's working at the hospital, you know, all of
Hmm.
his schemes and scams. I think that was like in a time period where, I mean, you could literally get away with murder. Like there, but
Yeah.
nowadays, you know, at least with Uncut Gems, you would think, yeah. But no, but the Marty one was based on a real story.
But
When he was
there's
dating.
like, you know, he's in these. deadly situations, seemingly a little too often for it to be
Yeah.
a true, like this person was able to escape this life unscathed, and I don't know. You never know, honestly,
Right.
if it's a crazy story, and
Well,
but
the one scene that got me curious about, and I didn't look it up, but in Marty Supreme, the like predecessor ping pong guy who's sort of like his friend and ends up being part of the Globe Trotters with him,
Hmm,
he says he survived the Holocaust, and he tells this really
right.
short story which kind of stands out from the rest of the film. But he talks about how he would work to disassemble bombs. He was a Jew in a
Hmm,
concentration camp, and how he smoked out some honeybees and put honey all over his chest to give nutrition to the rest of the men at the concentration camp. Do you remember
hmm.
this scene?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it stood out, and I was like, this is such a strong visual and just like a intense like little storyline to throw into this movie. And I meant to look up if this was something that had actually happened. I just thought that was a
uh,
weird thing to put in there. Not weird. I
yeah.
don't think weird is the right vocabulary word, but
I mean,
stood
yeah, it's
out.
certainly evocative, but also, um, yeah, not necessarily the the most obvious thing that you would include in a movie like this.
I
But
have
it's
to look
fun
it
that
up.
it's there.
Okay,
Uh,
it says, sorry, I know that we try not to like chat GBT stuff while we're doing this.
I'm just looking up Marty Reisman, this
Oh
character.
yeah, that's fine.
It's
But
very loosely based on but
they do
yeah.
say that this story about the honey, it came from a real story about a tennis player who was imprisoned in Auschwitz. And it's kind of meant to convey a sense of camaraderie and what you do for survival and just like the human experience in times of stress, like
Mhm.
self-sacrifice, blah, blah, blah. But many found the scenes disturbing and odd. That was the critics' review on ChatGPT. I didn't find it disturbing. It just leaving the theater, it was like one of the visuals that I was kind of like, huh, stuck out.
No, I forgot about that until you brought it up. But yeah, no, the
Gosh, some
discovery.
of the things Marty would say about what did he say about that man's son who died in the war? Or he pretended to be
Um,
friends with him so he could get a hold of them. He really gave no crap about other people's feelings. He said, "Oh, like your son maybe deserved to die or something like that." Just wow.
it's sort of mythical and almost like biblical in the way, like the erratic nature and the swings that these characters experience of like seemingly possessing a decent amount of humanity and charity, but and then going from that to then suddenly treating people like total trash, and it's just I know it does kind of accurately capture just the crazy swings
The
that sometimes,
desperation that the
yeah,
moments like hold for them. I mean, in
yeah,
Marty Supreme, he allows someone to like spank his bare butt with a paddle in public. And I mean, in Uncut
yeah.
Gems, well, he didn't allow them to strip him down, but he's basically stripped down and thrown in the back of a car. And he almost treats it like an everyday
Mhm.
moment. Like that, he's not that surprised to end up in the back of a trunk naked.
Yeah.
Like
And
he just goes into his daughter's play afterward. He throws on some
mhm,
clothes and just goes back in.
the discovery of the beehive, it's sort of like the discovery of the burning bush, or like I think was it David killed a lion and it had honey inside of it, or there's a lot of these just like very iconic, kind of mythical descriptions of events that are just they're very symbolic, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, um, and we've got that Odyssey adaptation coming out from Christopher
Oh,
Nolan,
I'm so excited.
and there's just like a lot of surreal imagery and iconography, and yeah, the symbolism from the more supernatural kinds of elements of these tales from ancient times, and it's just so evocative, something that's just beyond our regular human capacity. And with that, yeah, Christopher Nolan film, it looks like it, it's supposed to be shot very straightforward and realistically, but also I think some of the heightened elements of it, you got that scene in the cave of like the Cyclops, this giant creature approaching, and it's just very like subtle and dreamlike almost. These things, creatures coming up from underground. There's a crazy character in the armor towering over Matt Damon's character Odysseus. Just like these moments from that trailer that seem like this movie is going to be playing at something greater than just telling this kind of straight ahead fantasy. It's more trying to convey like I don't know, a term might be ecstatic or metaphorical, or subtle, like liminal kind of depiction of you. Could this possibly be real because of some strange elements that are at play that are just like a mystery, just very mysterious, and yeah, almost like they generate a feeling in us of unease, but also
I was gonna say
fascination.
a little bit of like a visceral effect, kind of like that
Yeah.
level, like tension that, yeah, I'm really excited about that one. I like mythology in general, but seeing the trailer, I think it is going to be very like a primal feeling almost. Like I don't think maybe that's not the right word either. See, my mom's an
No,
English
that's
teacher. We
true.
should really have her come correct us because I feel like I use the word weird a lot, but really like that raw feeling and a little bit of like discomfort, but like not so much that
Mhm.
you disbelieve completely. So I don't know when that comes out, but I'm very excited to see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I love those kinds of experiences where it is magical, but it's not like Harry Potter or some of the more traditional adaptations of Greek mythology. More recently, the um, Clash of the Titans. It's just like this CGI spectacle, but rather something maybe a little bit more
With like a little depth
pared
or like a
down.
little,
Yeah,
yeah.
or um, a tactical feel, tactile, tangible, more. Um, you know, it does help too when you're not relying on a ton of like crazy wild CGI effects,
I think so
but
too.
also you're. It's not like these things are any more commonplace or realistic. I guess as a term. I don't know. I'd love to think that these magical creatures, could have existed at one point, and we've just kind of lost our wonder as a species, and we no longer have access to that dimension. Like we can no longer see Middle Earth because we just, have lost our way as a society or a species that's just become too reliant on like technology and violence and politics, and I don't know. We've lost our.
Yeah. It's like that portion of our brain just no longer
Mhm.
is in use. We kind of set it to the side for too many generations and now it's,
Mhm.
yeah. And I think it's cool because when we were in Ireland, we went for like 5 weeks, but just like the secret of the Kells, like that
Mhm.
there's these things that are like unseen in the forest. And of course, like I don't mean like a little like Lucky Charms elf, you know,
Mhm.
but that there could, be these like natural spirits of
Mhm.
things. And yeah, I think this movie hopefully does tap into that so that you do get that sense of, yeah,
Yeah,
the word that I can't put my finger on, that sense of.
I think, yeah, I would maybe boil it down to like subtlety because Christopher Nolan, like he has just a very keen sense of just not not over exerting the visual spectacle, but also conveying like a
Hmm.
tremendous amount of it, just very economically and cleanly. But yeah, it's never anything ostentatious, really. Um, yeah, and yeah, that sense of wonder, that kind of crazy belief in the supernatural or whatever. I mean, that's sort of embodied by characters like Marty and Howard, and in sort of an unhealthy way. They're just trying to, I don't know, rely on the on the fate of the gods, to
They really
guide
do
their
think
hands.
their ambition is enough, like their belief is enough to get them there. And you kind of do need, like you said earlier, like with some of these sports people, you need some of that um
Hmm.
distorted perception, because it might be the only thing that gets you through the times that would stop everyone else, because if you can kind of let yourself live in that dreamlike belief,
Yeah,
it,
dreamlike.
it kind of helps you float past when you're getting beat up and thrown into the back of a car, or like the dog is getting killed. You probably have to just let
It'll
yourself float above it a little bit and be a little bit crazy or wonderful, or full of wonder. And
yeah.
that's like the quality that those people need. And you know what, you do hear that all the time, is like the people who have these startups in Silicon Valley, like they don't even think they can fail. Like when they start, they just start doing.
Yeah.
It's pretty wonderful. It's crazy, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. On my last note, like in F1, I think you can see this on display in a few instances fairly, I don't know, viscerally, during like street races when the drivers are brushing up against the walls, during qualifying, and it's just
Yeah.
like, millimeters. I mean, they're careening this, 1,000+ pound machine, through these streets. And, anytime they were they meet an obstacle, it would just be this huge impact. And yet they're they're making contact with, concrete barriers at these incredible speeds and able to get away with it because it is just this superhuman sense of perception that they're able to employ just from their experience and training. It is truly wild, and you see that in, of course, any area of extreme high performance.
And
But
it makes people who live in the real world just like catch their breath, because
yeah.
even when you describe something like that, my brother-in-law, he really likes racing, and just, yeah, it's almost like our little form of magic, as like lame as that might sound. But
Mhm.
making the basket, making the touchdown,
Yeah.
being the ping pong champion, racing these cars like this, like it is maybe our like modern form of like a little miracle, because it just seems so impossible, especially with the racing. Yeah.
Mm. Um, did you ever see F1, the movie?
I only saw portions of it. I don't dislike it or like it. I just get so nervous, which is same with Uncut Gems and Marty Supreme. I have to sometimes just watch through my fingers, but I do think it's pretty amazing what they're able to accomplish. And if anyone ever gave me a ticket to see it in real life, I would watch it with my hands on my lap and I'd keep my eyes open. But
No,
oops,
it's
sorry.
a yeah, no, it's a crazy. Uh, I don't know. There were things about the film I kind of, didn't find the most engaging, but yeah, I mean, just seeing it that up close and personal is pretty impressive, and I'm glad that it seemed to find, certain resonance among just a general movie-going audience. So, I'll Brad Pitt is right at the cusp of, like, being able to portray Yeah,
Yeah, right at the cusp, right on that razor's edge we were talking about earlier.
but I'm sure in the next one he would purely be in a kind of a support role to whoever the main racing characters
I'll be
would
the
be.
mentor.
Yeah. I don't know.
This,
Yeah. In Star Wars, you see certain pilots that are kind of older, and I don't know. It's you know,
oh, they'll bring him back.
geriatric.
They'll bring them back. They like to put their
Yeah.
names on the credits. What did we just talk about? Oh man, not Ready Player One.
Oh,
The
oh,
Tron,
right, right,
where they
right.
brought back the original guy, but he was like a
Mhm.
hologram old man.
Yeah,
Remember?
yeah,
So
the
they'll bring
exact
back
Jeff
Brad Pitt
Bridges.
will be there. Don't you worry.
Yeah, he'll be in it. I just, yeah, I'd rather they. I mean, truth is often just so much more interesting than fiction. So why not, you know, borrow from a more plausible scenario and build from that? And yeah, and as crazy as the events of Marty Supreme were, I guess, yeah, there were a few things I thought were a little too convenient to be real, and maybe too like, yeah, improbable, because but I don't know, like I definitely had no doubts about the ability of like Josh Safdie and Ben Safdie also involved in the writing of Marty Supreme too, maybe. Just like, yeah, their ability to weave a yarn that just based on uncut gems that just felt so unconventional and beyond kind of what your typical, screenplay would entail, which has overly heady subjects. But I'm just enjoying this time of like really exploring kind of the some of these topics of like the psychology behind some of the
These
most interesting films of the past few years. And yeah.
exactly, and it's fun to go a little deeper. I'm sorry, like I have a cold now, but it's
Mhm.
fun to go a little deeper on their pathology because
Mhm.
it's not the type of person you see every day, and especially when it's not your personality. It's a curiosity
Yeah.
uh, to live in their little world for. I think for Uncut Gems, it's over the course of like 2 weeks, and with Marty, it's over the course of like 18 months.
Mhm.
But it's a ride for sure.
So I've been kind of burned out on a lot of content lately, but like these are the kinds of ideas and concepts that'll bring me back to the movie theater to really kind of
Yeah,
bite
I
into. Yeah.
agree. I agree. A movie like this is worth the ticket, and I think it's a mixture of like just like growing up, but it also is sort of the content that's being like put out right now.
Hmm.
This is off topic, but I did like hear that scriptwriters now that do things that are like Hulu or Netflix originals, that they're meant to like remind the viewer of the plot 4 times minimum because of the viewers now are on their phones for the majority of the watching experience. So that dialogue has to be repetitive, but not in a way that's too repetitive. So,
Yeah.
it's not just I don't think it's just you as a viewer and like your life. It's also a little bit like what we're seeing. So that's why I was saying I'm excited that Marty Supreme did well. I'm excited that
Mhm.
Uncut Gems did well because those are movies I want to pay attention to.
Yeah. I needed those kinds of reminders for something like this latest season of Stranger Things because I was kind of in
Oh,
and
I
out
didn't
of that
watch
a
it.
little bit.
I
It's
I
all
didn't
right,
watch
but
it.
yeah, no, I made
Were they
my
losing you a little bit, like your attention span?
yeah, a little bit, but whatever. It's you know, it's hard to sometimes concentrate when you're at home and there's stuff going on, and so it's okay. But I just remember like season 4 of Stranger Things just being so compelling, and then this one for whatever reason it felt just more. I don't know. Uh, yeah, hokey in in some ways too. Like just kind of I don't know, overly like cheesy, schmaltzy. I don't know.
We've talked about this when it comes to things like sequels, and you know what? I think it goes back to as old as time. Like, so I'm like a zillion months pregnant right now, and
Hmm.
I'm rewatching this show called Desperate Housewives from
Hmm.
the early 2000s. Does that ring a bell
Oh yeah.
to you at all? Desperate Housewives.
Oh yeah. for sure.
It's just like a show about these like five women that live on a street. But the first four seasons are great. And this is early
Mhm.
2000s when there'd be like commercial breaks, but the script writing is really funny,
Mm.
the growth of the characters. And then you hit season 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm still watching it because what do I care?
Mhm.
But there does come a point where you have to just ask yourself like, okay, I think our gluttony has been like hit, like we've
Mm.
had enough. And I think with Stranger Things, and sometimes, I mean, you've heard that Frozen 3 is coming out, but like
Mm.
the show Seinfeld is a really good example of stopping at the top. Seinfeld, they did 7 seasons. They were all amazing. They were begging them to come back and do more episodes, and they said, "Nope, we're good. We're done." And I think when a show can
Yeah.
do that, because like it's same with The Office, the first those seasons with Michael Scott, and they should have just been leave the viewer wanting more forever. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's a business, so I'm not sure with
Honestly,
Stranger Things
yeah.
if that's a similar.
It had a good resolution. They needed to wrap it up because that's what it's building towards. But there were
Oh,
just
okay.
some moments that seemed to just kind of come to a lull. And there's so much kind of going on and weird stuff, weird ideas about like quantum physics and stuff that I'm sure don't make any sense really. But like it'd be fun to kind of explore some of these ideas a little bit more in depth, like with someone who maybe does know how to break down these kinds of things on like
No,
YouTube. So
you don't want that. My
I
sister Paula,
no,
she's a lawyer and she watched Suits with me, which is a
yeah.
series about lawyers.
Mhm.
She absolutely ruins it. You don't want someone who knows what they're talking about to talk because there's too many mistakes in the writing, and they'll be like, "Well, that would never happen because
Mm.
da da da."
I'm definitely gonna probably check out some Stranger Things recaps just to I don't know have a little fun mining some of the more subtle details from that show because I feel like it did convey that in some of the earlier seasons this sense of mystery and awe. But it was too often supplanted by kind of just dumb moments of mindless action and convenience in this latest season. I feel probably just to kind of wrap things up. I thought they were going to maybe take things in a more interesting direction, but yeah, it was maybe a little I don't know, a little rushed. It took forever for this season to come out. I mean, like with Frozen, I mean, it's been 7 years since Frozen 2 came out. So, hey, I'll be
Are you
more than ready for
serious?
a new installment. So, yeah,
That's insane.
bring it on.
I know. I am excited to see it. I just, so one of these days, and you've probably seen enough about it, but just like how writing has changed for shows and for movies to kind of
Yeah.
accommodate the generations now and how
Mhm.
they're watching and how they're streaming. And we talk about this, but
Mhm.
but yeah, you can always dig a little deeper, find a YouTube, find a podcast, and maybe they'll add
Yeah.
some layers to what you were watching.
No, that's what I did with Pluribus, like the most recent Apple series that I,
Oh, I
um,
saw that. I haven't watched it, but I've
yeah.
seen the tag.
Yeah, I definitely followed along with some fan discussion, podcasts and stuff on YouTube
How was
for
it?
that. And the show itself is great. Yeah,
Oh, really? Okay, I'm
but
gonna jot that down.
yeah, I was glad I was able to find some fun discussions to then listen to afterwards. And a few other things I've been watching lately too, but I'm not going to get into that. We've been talking long enough, but just yeah, so just some interesting ideas, philosophical ideas, in that. So I don't know. We'll. It was so fun getting to talk to you, Jody, and I'll let you um share any final thoughts or any other interesting things that have been going on your end. But yeah, for now, this has been super fun and mentally draining a little bit, but
I know. I
also,
was just gonna say, I don't know if it's like my pregnancy brain
uh,
or if it's just like the January chill, but I was like, I think I filled it all through, and I hope we get to be back soon. I don't think Odysseus comes out for a while, but there are some interesting things kind of coming to theaters. I can't, my brain's too burnt out now, but hopefully
oh yeah,
we'll catch something that's worth our time to kind of dig into a little more. But I'm actually really happy that I went back to Uncut Gems.
okay.
It It's really great.
Well,
I said that at the beginning, but that's how I'm going to end it too. It's great, but
I'm glad you're enthusiastic for the Odyssey. That'll be one we'll have
yeah,
to get on right away after that comes out. That'll be fun
I'll need to watch it twice because I can never remember anyone's names.
for sure.
We were in the same AP English class with Mrs. Juby, and
Yeah.
I still like will forget Odysseus is like the name of, and we've read it. But yeah, that'll be epic.
Yeah, Matt
It'll be
Damon.
an Odyssey.
I like Matt Damon. I think that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I was surprised that's who they picked. But they had to give Timothy Chalamet a break. He's been playing every single role the past 10 years.
Well, it's
Let's bring back.
Tom Holland plays his kid. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
it plays.
Maybe I'm gonna rewatch the trailer once we hop off of here. But thanks for letting me come and talk.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, or we'll wrap it up here on the Thodcast.
Wrap it on up, Safety style.
Well, thanks for listening to the Thodcast. And yeah, fun times with the Safties. A good time. And yeah, the Smashing Machine was fun. And yeah, 2025. Gosh, I mean, we're already well into 2026 now. And yeah, just stay tuned. We'll maybe have an upload a couple times a month, hopefully, or we'll see how it goes. But thank you so much, Jody, for joining me here on the Thodcast. And until next time, you have a magical day. Have a wonderful week. Warm hugs.
Warm hugs.